let's always drink the good stuff.
It's about food, art, travel, music, culture, lifestyle. It's interesting conversations with interesting people. And yes, sometimes it's even about drinking the good stuff. My guest today is filmmaker and philosopher Vander Van Kochar, the mind behind international festival selections like Italian for Travelers, Heal America, Reelecting Lincoln, and sci-fi thriller Manfish. His films challenge narrative conventions, spark conversations, and push us thinking about how the world is. This is going to be a fascinating deep dive into creativity, ideas, and cinema. Van, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Pleasure being here.
Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. I really want to talk to you because I find you extremely interesting and your work extremely interesting. Again, thanks for coming in. But before we begin, tell us about yourself, please.
I am a filmmaker and philosopher. I was born in Armenia, and I came to LA in '98 and been here since.
You said something interesting which caught my attention, which is it's usually you hear the opposite from particularly from immigrant Armenian parents, where they want their sons or daughters to be doctors, lawyers, engineers. But in your case, your parents discouraged you from becoming a lawyer.
Right.
So tell us that story, please.
Yeah, I still regret it. Would have been an interesting choice. But I grew up in a family of artists, so for them that was the reality, and the law was an unknown. I always felt, though, that could be something that I can express myself or be useful in that field. And that's why I kind of chose philosophy as some kind of a compromise, something in between. It can go either way. And that kind of how it developed.
But you also told me that you just showed it to them. You married a lawyer.
That's true. Yeah. So, that's the next compromise. Yeah.
Right.
I needed that degree around somewhat.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm glad you achieved that goal. Philosophy, there is not much. As Bill Murray said, there's no big bucks in that career, so to speak. What made you go into philosophy? What was it about philosophy that attracted you?
I think there is money in it. I think philosophy is what creates the ideas that then later become industries that create money or generate wealth. I think it's just that study of ideas, and then it's up to you how you want to develop that idea or where the idea would go eventually. So for me, it was always an attempt to get to the source of everything that I was exploring. It was not a gratuitous thing, but it's more like behind any art, there should be a solid mindset. And it doesn't have to be anything complicated, but there should be something grounded in something bigger or other than what you see on surface in that specific field.
As the book title goes, as man thinketh, you got to think about everything first,
right? And
then build on that. Everybody has thought about everything in this room. This microphone, this paper, that jacket, that shirt. Someone had thought about it before they realized it. They made it happen.
And that's the philosophy. That's how I saw philosophy. Not something detached, not something that like kind of floats in its own detached dimension, but something that's very practical. And in fact, I went to university in Italy, which it was a Vatican university. It's a pontifical university. So, and it was run by the Order of Dominicans, which is the order of preachers. So the way they taught philosophy and theology was with that, it's not even assumption, but with the goal of delivering and simplifying those ideas, or like finding a way to make the ideas popular and functional for people. So it was a very practical approach, and that's what gets lost in the study of philosophy and philosophy as a science. It is not an abstract, detached endeavor, but it's something that is the connects every field to the source, to the origin, how it all started. What's the idea that resulted in this microphone? Because no one thinks to create a microphone. You think originally how to create a source of amplifying a sound, and that's the philosophy. And the microphone follows.
Very interesting. Do you have any favorite philosophers?
You know. It's probably not, you know, because again, it's more like what's the idea at that moment and what feels appealing. There are like certain preferences in terms of like personality and sentiments. Like I always liked Kierkegaard, you know, it's very depressing, you know, and so the bar is pretty low in that way. But no, there isn't like one particular philosopher.
Before cinema, it was philosophy that came first to you.
No, it was actually cinema and art. Again, I was born in a family of artists, so there was.
What kind of artist, if you don't mind? What are your parents?
My grandfather was a painter, sculptor, and my father was a director. So, like for me, was always how to avoid this and see if I can materialize in a different way, in a different field. So that was kind of also the part of the journey. But then while doing philosophy, I realized this thing is pulling me back. Mm-hmm. It's not, you can't just escape something just because you want to escape.
Nature.
Yeah, it is. It's part. And it's connected again. And then I realized that for me, that same thing and how to use philosophy, how to use the ideas that the first kind of way, the initial way of using it would be arts and films, or at least the engine to use it would be that.
And cinema was the medium you chose to bring about your ideas to people and to the widescreen into the people. Is that how it works? Is that what the process works?
I started writing plays. That was the original. I studied in theater actually in Armenia. I went to the university, the theater university, the drama university. So my original education was theater criticism. So I started writing plays, but film just kind of has that collective kind of or what would be the right word for it? More like it brings
all disciplines together.
All disciplines together, yeah. So that felt like I'm losing the.
It just brought everything.
Brought everything together.
Your discipline, your ideas, your background, your studies, your education.
Yeah. As you can see, I'm still like avoiding that thing.
Well, no, but while avoiding it, but you've become very successful at it. You've made number of movies, number of documentaries. How would you describe your style of filmmaking, or how do you describe it?
Now it's becoming more clear that after doing films, after doing a lot of things, and after also like working professionally and commercially, I think now like I'm coming to magical realism as the style, as the
genre.
way.
Is that a genre?
It could be loosely or broadly defined, yes. But
what does that mean?
That means
magical realism.
That means seeing a different dimension, an unseen dimension in things real. So, like this can be a magical realism. There is so much magic in the way we met, but the fact is, it's a real conversation. It's a podcast. Right. So it's just kind of seeing that other dimension, that bigger kind of dimension, or the other dimension in this apparent dimension. So it's not, again, to complicate it, but it's to enrich it.
And that's your perspective, the way you see certain situations, so the way you interpret certain situations.
Yeah, it's an attitude. Do you want to see the reality, or do you want to see the magic in reality? Are you forcing the magic, or there is magic? And the magic doesn't have to be a magic trick. It can be a very boring, mundane situation that needs to be worked out, or a problem even can be magic. But there is that aspect to reality that amplifies it. And the word magic in itself means to magnify. So that's the whole idea, not to create something like supernatural or to focus on something that's not there, but rather to focus on something that's going to augment reality, that's going to enrich reality through magnifying the reality, the moment. So that would be kind of the style. Though I kind of, to arrive to that, I had to go through a filmmaking that I never thought would be my thing, like social issues, homelessness, all those things. I thought, like, that's great. Those are worthy causes. As a citizen, as an individual, I'd like to be involved, but that can never be my focus. I want things more abstract, more, you can say artistic. But then, I was thrown into the situations, and I realized that you cannot be an artist without being a citizen. Otherwise it makes no sense. It's useless. As the art is a service that we provide as citizens in the end, and that's
interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how that magical realism doesn't have to be just in things magical. It can be, there is magic in trying to help a homeless person, or
So
let's
you're
bring
saying
that to focus.
as artists, you have obligations to society or to the art?
I think it's a human being. You have an obligation to society, and art is what you do. So you cannot really detach art from the social responsibility or the general citizenry. I mean, if you were making films for people, they will have an impact that is social, regardless your approach or intention. It's gonna be it's gonna affect people, and that's how that.
Your philosophy
society comes. Yeah, you cannot escape philosophy. Right? Yeah,
That's absolutely right. So, what does it take to? Okay, so I'll come back to that later.
Mm-hmm.
So you, depending on the project, depending on the situation, you write, you direct, you produce, and these are the three main. Do you act also?
no.
Okay. These are the three main areas behind the camera where are needed, necessary to make a successful movie or a documentary or a TV series or what have you, correct?
Yeah, we're talking, Paul, earlier about this, that, you kind of have to know as a filmmaker, or in any field, like you really want to know the entire process. And especially if you want to direct, that's something, so much of it is communication with different departments, with different people. So you can't really communicate to camera department or a costume department or a production designer unless you know what it takes, unless you know the limitations of their craft and the possibilities. So you cannot ask from your director of photography to do something if it's unattainable. So at least you need to know the basics, the rudimentary tenets that constitute that field, that constitute that profession. So it's important, essential to know that, and there's no way to know that unless you do it. So I did camera. My first job was a camera operator for an animation company. It was a motion capture. Then I did editing professionally for years. So that
you got to be able to have all the disciplines in order to. But that also depends on the type of group of people you have around you for that particular project, right?
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Then each project becomes its own institution because you got to know your actors, you got to know your camera people, you got to know your writers, so that you can put the whole thing together and make it as successful as possible.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And what you may consider something success doesn't necessarily translate into financial success, correct?
Usually it doesn't at all. No, I mean, it should, technically. And in the end, it does. That's the whole thing. A solid work of art, it may not have that financial value immediately. But just like anything good, the time for it comes. And like in time, it makes money. That's the whole idea with royalties. In the end, once you like tap into the financial stability, then it's actually very easy because everything you've done 10 years ago suddenly brings money now. So it's kind of a waiting game there too. Like, but yeah, the success, especially in film, it's defined in a, for me, it's different. You know, I think it's, again, the magic of creation and the magic of all these people coming together, which is a very difficult thing to accomplish, to have people come together and create something in a moment, something that's not real in the moment. And I think that's how the success is defined, by the quality of people, by the intention the people have, and what they create at that moment in the real time. And that's what makes the difference between, like, let's say, AI and man-made film. There were these flawed people that ended up in the same room doing this crazy thing, and if they succeeded to like bring their best and create this moment together, then we have something that will live on. It will be alive because there was life put into it.
And to that point, given the multiple platforms that are available right now, besides the movie theaters, you got all this other streaming services or handheld device, whatever, everything. Does that open up more opportunities to showcase projects to more people, which otherwise may not necessarily been exposed to?
Yeah. There is definitely that kind of the process got opened up. And that definitely gives you an opportunity that didn't exist before, like to be available for everyone all the time. That's a whole different game, how you do that, the whole marketing aspect of it, but that definitely changed the game. Also, kind of, what is the word, like kind of convoluted and diffused the field. There is no vetting. It was really hard to get a distribution back in the day, but if you got a distribution, that meant there is a certain path that the film's going to go, that the product's going to have some kind of financial life. But now you can be on multiple platforms and like make no money, but you still have that exposure, and you're going to translate that exposure into a different way of
it's
revenue.
a lot more competitive.
It is, yeah, and it's competitive, and for better and worse, you know, because there's also like a lot of content. So we're not, it's hard for a non-discriminating viewer to see right away what's the piece of work, what's that film that required so much energy and human effort, and what's that thing that was created on a whim. It still looks like moving, it still looks like a content, and if your mindset is to digest content, if you're trained already how to, it's like a fast food, like you need food, then I think a lot of that content serves the purpose, and like kind of you're not hungry anymore. It doesn't mean you're fulfilled or you got a nutrition, but you're not hungry. By the time you realize like you're depleted, the guy who was given the real product might be dead.
I see.
You know, but there is a lot of food out there, you know, so.
Yeah, and just it's up to the consumer to decide where they want to go, what they want to consume.
Yeah.
And you see, have a lot more options. Okay, well, let's talk about some of the projects, movies you made. The first one is called, again, Italian for Travelers. What was your role in that movie?
That's something I wrote and directed, and that's something I wanted to do for a long time, because I studied Italian, and there was always this fascination of, used to study with those CDs back in the day, you know. And it was,
that's how the movie begins.
Right, yeah. So the movie is kind of inspired by a language learning CD, which is like a very baseline of inspiration. But from that repetition of words and the whole methodology of learning a new language, I found fascinating. And being Armenians, we're just forced to be translators and forced to learn so many languages just by the nature of our geography. So yeah, learning Italian was inspiring in that way, you know. And I always wanted to make a film just based on that. That's like that crazy idea. There was no theme. That's why there was no story. There was no particular story, but the form was very inviting and appealing. And I thought, what could be an interesting story that will work with this concept of learning a language. So the Italian for Travelers is about a journalist. The storyline is about a journalist who is used in an assassination plot. And as a defense mechanism, she kind of starts repeating words and phrases, Italian words and phrases that she did in the past. That she was an Italian CD that she was learning in the past. So she begins to remember that and repeat the words and phrases from an Italian CD. And now that is actually a psychological disorder called echolalia. During the stress, during the duress, it's a defense mechanism. You repeat words and phrases heard in the past, and we all do that. Like you probably had that moment, like under stress, there is a tune that plays in your head, or like a word that you want to repeat. So that's a real thing. It's actually a neurological disorder and also a genetic disorder. A lot of autistic children have that echolalia. But it was interesting to explore that aspect of how that kind of a memory of learning a CD comes in during the stress and helps you to at least stay sane through the turmoil.
When you're making a movie like that, what does it take to make a movie of that caliber? What does it take? Can you take us through the process, please?
Well, this is a small movie. This is this is something that.
By the way, it's available on Amazon right now.
It's on Prime. It's on Tubi. It's been actually for a small film we had a pretty good run. It was dubbed in several languages
In
In
Italian?
Not in Italian. Italians are very particular about people doing Italian stuff. I thought my idea with this, the financial, even the commercial aspect, was like, I can sell this to Italy. They'll buy something done about Italy by non-Italian. But they were like, it was accepted everywhere in the world except for Italy. And I understand. It's like, they're very particular about how you deal with their culture. And I have great respect for it. They don't want an
explain Italian.
Right, they don't want to do that. So, yeah, you don't want the Armenian to teach Italian. So, to Italians, yeah. No, we got some success there too. But I very quickly I realized it's different. Like, it's going to be different. It's not what I expected. But yeah, so that was.
So can you take us back to how the movie came about?
Yeah, so this one is something that I wanted to do. So like I produced it with a co-producer. So I wanted to do
it. That means raising money.
Raising money, yeah. So I didn't go the traditional way with this. Yeah, I wanted to do it fast and small, and then there's a small film, but. To explain this kind of concept, will be very difficult to a producer, to someone who puts their own money. This would have been a hard sell, and I didn't want to go that path. I knew that I can accomplish something that seems very bizarre in the beginning, but will be very entertaining and will be a real film at the end. But instead of putting all that energy into finding someone and convincing and going that path that can take years, it's a smaller endeavors, so I figured we can do this quickly. I had a lot of help, and I had the money raised through other sources too, but it wasn't big enough to sweat and to go through the system to the grind.
You produced it, you directed it, you wrote it.
Yeah, I co-produced it. But I wrote and directed it, and yeah.
And how long did it take you from wanting to start it to the finish?
It should have been like 2 years, more or less. That's kind of the process. But we had COVID in between, so we finished 2019. There were some reshoots and stuff. Then that already started getting postponed through 2020. So yeah, it took kind of 3 years to from the inception to the premiere.
And. What was your budget for this movie?
I can't say that.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
I don't want to discourage people.
Understandably so.
It broke the bank, and the bank wasn't big. But, I'm still recovering.
Fair enough. I'm sure you entered this film into various film festivals all around the world, correct?
Yeah.
What role do film festivals play for smaller films like yours compared to
Right.
studio blockbusters?
Yeah. Well, back in the day, they could make a significant difference. Like back in the day, a small film like this would not be considered what they do now. It's like a backyard indie. So it's like, oh, it's like under the certain budget. So it wasn't categorized by budget alone.
Okay.
For example, all those great like French wave movies, like Godard movies and all, they were made for like next to nothing. So, but back in the day, they would submit that to a festival and the value of it would be appreciated because there was not a condition to see it through the prism of budget or where does this film fall in, within this framework. The idea was like, it's amazing, it's great, it can go all the way. So not that it didn't matter how much it was produced for, but the mindset was if it's good, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Now it does. It's not. That's not the game anymore. Now you can make a masterpiece, but if it's under a certain budget, it doesn't fulfill certain criteria. It has it has a very conditioned future within that system. So the festivals can be helpful, but they don't have the impact that they used to have. Also, now we have so many more festivals. That's there too,
right.
And it's good in a way because the film gets curated. Even if it's like a couple of guys that like decided to do something in a coffee shop, you can dismiss that as a festival. But in the end, it's a celebration of film. That means, like we had like this tiny festival in Iceland. It was their first edition, and a lot of people like this film is too good to go to like something like that. A bunch of guys showing films in a coffee shop in Reykjavik, but then like, but wait. It's a bunch of people in Reykjavik who appreciated this. And that's how Cannes Festival started. That's how Venice started, a bunch of people in a coffee shop showing something, right? I mean, it all begins there. So there is that great exposure that now you can submit it to thousands of festivals and still like get traction, get it seen, being in theaters. It's not going to get it into that maybe next step financially or commercially, but it has that great exposure. We had a good mixture of like small festivals, medium-sized festivals. We didn't get into anything big because, and I'm not saying that it's just because of the budget thing. I'm sure it's also the quality of the film or the impact. But I just don't remember a breakthrough film that didn't have a star lately, It's very rare. Back in the day, it was much more. You could see that. Also, there wasn't that much content to go through, even for curators.
No, there's a lot more.
There's a lot more, and like, yeah, you can see like 20 great small films. So there's more people making film too. So it became competitive
as
in
we
that way.
spoke earlier, there's more opportunities to showcase so many other different venues and platforms, and
Yeah,
absolutely. And it's still ongoing. I mean, you talked about residuals earlier. This thing can have a life of its own for a very long time. Correct?
Yeah, and that's the thing. There was a concept a while ago. I think it was called long tail.
Yeah.
Remember that?
There's
and
a book written about that.
Yeah, and that was kind of revolutionary, and the revolution kind of caught up with it. That in the end, like it's like the studio system. You keep on producing, and even if they make a little money in time, now you start having some kind of substantial
the idea is
income
that
coming.
even though there may be a small group of people who are interested in it, but there's so many that you eventually will catch up to it, will realize it, will see it.
Right.
So it will have a life of its own and still make money over time.
Right. And you don't have that much to not spending that much to maintain or promote the product. So, yeah, that's the beauty with this kind of thing. If it's successful, if
Well,
you've
that's
done
the
it
internet
right,
that's
yeah,
making it possible.
yeah. That definitely opened many venues for income.
Okay, well, let's talk about Heal America. What is that about?
Heal America is a documentary that focuses on activities of homeless activist Ted Hayes. Ted has been an advocate for resolving the homelessness, and he was the creator of the Dome Village in downtown LA, which was a model city that showed how that kind of showed the possibility and the real way of helping homeless and providing them a path to integrate. And the whole concept was you cannot just grab people from the street, give them a house, even the money and a job, and expect them to get better. Because the reason they're on the street is not financial; it's deeper. So there are deeper issues that prevent you from integrating into society, from being useful. So you end up being useless, feeling useless, and on the street. So Ted's idea was you basically need kind of that transitional situation where you bring these people and you bring people who are successful in life, who are not homeless, let's say, and you create this environment in which people who help people to transition, to integrate, and it was basically that kind of a humanistic approach, not just dumping money into a problem, and I found that very important, and I wanted to help Ted to, I mean, there's a lot of films about him and he gets a lot of exposure, but I thought it's not enough, and it's something that, I felt very passionate about,
So what was your role in this documentary?
I directed it. I edited and directed it. We had a small grant from Moving Picture Institute, and that helped to kind of kickstart the project and help like friends, and they also stepped up because everyone felt this is something important, this is something worth the effort. And it took a while because there was a lot of following him. He's a big character all over the place, so we kind of needed to filter it and focus it, keep it on the topic, But yeah, that felt, like I don't know what makes you do those things, but like I felt that very close to that issue of homelessness. I think, again, like maybe being Armenian, you can be homeless any second, as our history shows. Yeah. So I didn't feel that much of a difference. It's like, this only takes half a genocide to be here, or not even that, so.
And do documentaries make money?
Yeah, I think nowadays they make more money. There's a great interest in documentaries, and documentaries evolved during the last 20 years. They were this boring, kind of educational, right. They were assumed to be boring. And then there were some great documentaries that showed that it don't have to be. It's just another way to tell the story. And again, it's the same thing. If you focus on documentary with that kind of mindset of magical realism. There is magic in everyday story, in a mundane story, in a story of despair. There is magic. So once people started approaching filmmakers with passion, in the way you would approach a feature film when you think you're bringing something emotional, then the reality opened up, and we saw the documentaries can be as entertaining, if not more, because they're also have a factual aspect to it. They're honest, so it's easier to find the magic in honesty and reality than in something that you create with that intention to capture the magic. There was magic in the way Ted was treating these people, and that was something that worth capturing. Took a long while, but yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about Reelecting Lincoln. What is that about?
That's about Reelecting Lincoln, yeah. That started as, that's actually how I met Ted, because both of us were very connected to the history and the impact of the American Civil War. That's something that always fascinated me, even back in Armenia. I don't know if it was like a part of propaganda, because Lincoln was loved in the Soviet Union, and not for all the wrong reasons, for the reasons because he was the emancipator, and it was not because he was the emancipator, but it was a way for the Soviets to show that Americans had slaves. So they would focus excessively on Lincoln and Civil War. So kind of even back then, we had this built up thing. But then here I saw a whole different aspect to it. And as I was getting assimilated or Americanized. It felt like whatever is not working, whatever you feel as a naturalized citizen not functioning in this society, it kind of goes back to the unresolved issues of the Civil War. Until now, I think we're still having that same dynamic North and South, which is variable, but in the end, we're talking about the same political mindset in war with itself. And he said that after Civil War, everyone is either an abolitionist or a segregationist, then that's been the American dynamic since. Like, you either want to free everyone or you don't care about nobody. It was fascinating to have that opportunity to make a film about something that I kind of grew up with, and then the doors opened up. We were lucky to have one of the most prominent Lincoln historians, Harold Holzer, who at that time was the vice president of marketing at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, and he became the narrator. I mean, we interviewed him, and that was kind of the main thread going through the movie. So it's a very solid historic foundation. But it was about basically that re-election that meant so much for the country. And I think that every election we hear, this is the most important election. Right. But that was factually the most important re-election. Because if he was not reelected, that means the whole idea of America would be different. That was at stake. So that felt an important subject to focus on.
Where can people see this?
Reelecting Lincoln is on Amazon Prime as well. Yeah.
So is Heal America as well?
Yeah, Heal America should be on Prime too. Okay. Yeah.
What is Das 13 Blind?
Das 13 Blind is a German for the 13th image, and the 13th image was one of the projects that I worked really hard, and so far it didn't materialize. It was about.
You're still working on it?
I'm walked away from it for a little bit, but it's like you never do. Those things are there; they'll haunt you.
What has been your role in that?
I wrote a screenplay for it, the 13th image, and it's basically about. A modern family in Berlin that discovers that they moved into the house of their grandmother that's on the same street where Talleyrand assassinated Talyat. And through this lost 13th image, or searching for this 13th image in their family album, they come to a realization that the grandmother was actually a survivor of the Armenian genocide, and she bought a house there to be witnessing that spot of assassination as like an ongoing healing of trauma, or like an ongoing revenge. So it was a very dicey, very political project, and I needed to do it in Germany with German funds. There was a lot of interest. We made a concept kind of trailer with some of the biggest German stars. They wanted it, but there was a lot of resistance to that project from the Turkish community in film and in general in Berlin, and there was a fear to kind of igniting this race war. Though that was not our intention. It was really a project that was really devoted in many ways to healing this problem, and also bringing the Turkish perspective, and having a big Turkish community, minority in Germany. I thought that would be a good place to have this conversation. But it was one of those projects that takes long time. It's about to happen, and then there was always some kind of hindrance. And understandably, this was a very loaded political project. Right. So that's the 13th image,
So it's not available. It hasn't been made.
It hasn't been made yet. No.
What about Manfish?
Manfish was my very first short film. It was a sci-fi, fantasy, black and white, silent film, kind of an homage to all the creature films. It's what the title says. It's about a hybrid of a man and a fish.
How long is it?
It's 15 minutes. It's a short film. and it was, yeah, kind of a fish out of the water, but like literally about a fish out of the water.
And among the different hats that you wear, depending on the project, whether it's a writer, producer, director, which one appeals to you the most?
From what I made, or
From in general, from what you do, you write, you produce,
yeah.
you direct.
Oh, like in that sense, I think writing and directing for me is kind of inseparable, because I write with that intention. I already see it. I kind of write like a shooting kind of script. You know, I'm like, I write what needs to be filmed, which actually is very economical. It's very good in that sense. So it's not overwritten. It's written with that understanding that it's going to be hard to make. So, but yeah, I think directing became more and more prevalent. Also because of just the way you see you can be useful in this process. And, you know, I mean, a lot of what moves us is obviously selfishness and
Ego.
like ego, and want to be out there, like whatever. Like that's kind of the curse and the sickness of an artist. Like you don't even want to, you don't even know why you want to show off, especially when it goes against your character. It's like that's my kind of internal conflict. I don't want that. But part of me kind of professionally needs it and wants it too. But the more with time, like understanding what directing is, it's really the talent of directing is really appreciating and knowing how to bring the talents of other people into that same place. I think it's like there's no bigger satisfaction than seeing that like whatever you created, whatever environment you manufactured here will attract talent and will allow them to manifest, allow them to add, and seeing other people flourish and flower in that process, I think it's really, that's what moves me more than anything. And that's kind of a liberating thing to see. You still have your ego in many ways, like fulfilled, and you know, it's like you're not thirsty, but it's a different thing. It's really, it's not about you anymore. It's you in others, and it's you being useful and bringing something else in others that moves you really, moves me really at this point.
In all these projects we just discussed, do you see a common thread? You must have thought about this. Do you see a common thread among all of them, or many others probably as well?
Yeah, me.
Obviously, but whether it's style or it's character or subject matter, do you see a commonality?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but like you can. And I think it's a lot of it is developing that kind of style, and I never focused on kind of creating the brand. I like to be versatile, and again, it's whatever. Also, you can't choose that much. You can be that picky. A lot of things I did was also the right opportunity, right time, and there was some kind of money involved, so I had to do it. A lot of it is that too. Sometimes you're thrown into those things, but are you really? You know?
Well, I don't see comedy here.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't see. I mean, comedy is the one that comes to mind right now. That's not your style. Doesn't seem to be yet, so far at least, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that something you aspire to either write or direct or produce?
Again, it's not. I didn't think about it in that way necessarily, but there is definitely not a narrative kind of consistency in what I do. You know, I think like if I have more opportunities to do what I want to do, like I think there'll be more consistency. There's different things that can develop into like some kind of recognizable brand, so to speak. But that's not the focus. It's just one.
How is your writing? What is your writing process? A lot of people describe as for them to be very tortuous process. They have to, they need the discipline to sit down every day, so many hours every day, and just write, good, bad, or ugly, just write.
Yeah.
And then edit. What is your writing process?
It's similar, but I'm not a writer's writer in that sense, you know, like again, like especially screenplays, I don't write them as something that needs to be read, but it's something that can be shot. Like it's very difficult too sometimes. like the screenplay for the Italian for Travelers, usually there is a standard page per minute. So 1 page of screenplay will translate into a minute of a screen time. Mine was like 28 pages, and it's like 70 plus minutes. So it's because again, I don't write in as it's not a literary work, but rather a blueprint or kind of a business plan. I see the screenplay as more of a business plan. It's all there, and it needs to be.
So you adjust it later?
I would.
Depending on the situation or depending on the actor?
Both, like there is a thing with actors, like that's the thing with writing. See, like if you're a writer, you create a character's life. Like in great literature, even if it's a fictional character, the character had a background. Like you have to know where this person coming from. I don't believe that's true in the movies. I don't think it even translates well, because the magic of movies is what happened right there at that moment. And that's why we have the star system, because the person who's there, the actor, is not just acting some character. Who they are at that moment, how it comes through their so-called instrument, through their physical, corporeal situation, is what really matters. So for a character to reminisce about things that happened in the past in the movie, that doesn't work for me, because they don't exist. Those characters don't exist. What exists in the movie is this situation and the truth of it right now. That's why I don't feel like I need to overwrite. I need to kind of build up the whole prehistory. I rather like put a situation, which is like a temporal situation, and ask the actor, like, you, how would you act? How would you, this person, because you happen to be the one here, not a character that I wrote. It's never going to be that. It's going to be you. So you as an actor right now, how do you feel about that? And in that process, if you have that kind of honest thing that you didn't write the scripture, just the screenplay, then you have this opportunity to like tell that honestly. Look, I don't, like, these actors ask you, what's the backstory? It's like, I have no backstory. This guy doesn't exist. I wrote it like, in the kitchen, like this is not, you don't go that deep. And what would you have to bring into this? Like, how do you feel about that? And then like new things open up if you use that kind of approach.
So do you have certain actors in mind when you're writing?
I used to like do it that way again, because see,
So
for me,
you
you're right.
Certain voice, certain persona.
Yeah, depends on the project, but yeah, that helps, and see, that's what happens with the movies. Like that's a natural process, because in the end it's going to be this actor, and doesn't matter what you write. If the actor doesn't feel it, they don't connect with that, it's not going to happen. In a way, it doesn't matter in literature, even in the theater. That's the thing of the stage actor, that they need that kind of a background there. It's a different type of immediacy. It's still very grounded in literature and the literary tradition. Film is a different animal. I think literature is the literary approach is as important as the light and the camera. It's not. They're saying the script is the king. I don't think so. I think the intention of making it, the structure of it, is the king.
But you don't think good writing is the beginning?
I think good writing is essential in many ways, but you can also make a great film without great writing or a great screenplay.
What is compensating for that? The caliber of the actors, the acting, the whole everything else that comes together. Is that what it's doing?
Yeah. I think it's also like whether this subject lends itself to movie more than anything else. It can be a great story, but it won't translate into a movie. And then you see a lot of movies, they're like, have a very primitive, you could say, plot line, very, like even a ridiculous story, but it works, So it's a difficult one, because, I don't want to dismiss it. It's only after like kind of really mastering that and being really appreciating literature, and really you have to go through that process. You can't just come and say, well, literature doesn't matter. Literary like screenplay doesn't matter. You have to achieve that. You have to like really be a great writer to say that, or at least you have to appreciate great writing. So that's it. Not a rejection, but my kind of not being obsessed with that comes from the great appreciation for actual literature and actual building character and the whole craft of it. But I don't think that's what makes the movie in the end. Obviously, a greater script will make a better movie than a lousy script. But again, a great script that is not gone through the prism of what film is.
Okay.
Yeah.
You need the other part as well.
Absolutely,
saying.
that's more essential. That's what I say. It
always to project to showcase the great writing.
Absolutely.
Okay, very cool. Have you thought about any TV series, whether on Netflix or on Prime? Have you thought about that? Something you can see in the future from you?
Yeah, that's a format that became again. It's just like documentaries, like TV series and all that. It's not what they used to be, and the approach, the attitude toward that is different. Back in the day, again, it was a sub-level of filmmaking, right, if you're doing TV. But now, all the talent goes into TV because not only the money is there, but it also gives you great opportunities to expand and create
and to possibly cover topics that otherwise may not be available, may not be doable on the silver screen.
And they need time, they need space to expand, to breathe. And I think in this case, the writing is very important. But in the series, you can see this dynamic. You see, if in episode 4, a character remembers something that happened to them in episode 1, it's a vivid, real memory because we also know that he knew that. It's different from him remembering something that never happened. And that's why series have that kind of life and they're grounded in writing.
If something's going to be done about something was said or done in episode 1 later on during the series.
Right, and you see the development of the character because you actually saw them 4 episodes or 2 years ago if it goes for many seasons, some great shows have that. So now it's self-referential and it's kind of that's right, I remember him being mad. So now when he talks about being mad, I remember that scene. Right. So for me, it's kind of a self-contained reality. And I think there's a great potential. I think more great television, especially the limited series, will come. We'll see more of that. Good. But I think that any series, any limited series, you should be able to condense them into one film. It's in the end that same one film 3-act structure that was spread through many seasons and kind of diffused and got deeper into detail.
Created
subplots and stuff, because that's how this life is. It has all those subplots that make you understand.
Nuances and intricacies.
Right. But in the end, the story is the same,
Right. Earlier you mentioned, excuse me. Earlier you mentioned AI. Mm-hmm. What has the role of AI been? And there was this actor strike last year. AI was part of the big issue, one of the issues. Yeah. What has been the role of AI so far?
So far, it's pretty nascent, and it's this nation stage, and it's pretty new to make any kind of, to even understand where this thing's going to go. Obviously, all the dangers we know. I think it brings something liberating to an art form, because a lot of problem, or we can say the probably the conflict between art and industry here is that there is an urge, there is a thirst for content, for product, right? People like, for example, an action movie. So you're not going to be able to make 50 great action movies, but there is demand for more than one great action movie. So you now have an opportunity to create content in a way that satisfies the global thirst for this kind of thing. And that, once that thirst is satisfied, now you can actually get the good stuff, right? Now you can drink the good stuff. Now that you you wanted that drink, but now you're looking for that good stuff. And this gives an opportunity for a customer to find the quality product, because there was already that content provided, and now there is actually need for that other thing.
Because there's the demand for it.
Now there's demand for art because the art itself was not enough to satisfy, to fulfill, even the service of like, it's a service, right? We provide like images and entertainment. So you can't provide that much. That's why there are formulas, how to do them fast, how to do a mass production, and how to satisfy this thirst through numbers.
And this also lowers the cost barrier is much lower, isn't it?
Right. And it's also like a lot of, like the AI is something that...
Is it formulaic though?
Right, but wasn't most of the movies like the entire like the whole like blockbuster idea? Those are good formulas that work.
Okay, fair enough.
Right,
yes.
and I think that's where AI comes in as a liberating force, because it says, well, you guys were saying it's all about formula. This guy, AI is going to do that formula much better, much more personalized. So now what we need, what is going to be really valued, is that other thing that's done by an actual artist that puts that, their life and their actually breath into this. And that will have its own value, kind of like a specialty made thing will have its own value, because now you don't rely on it and you don't push the specialty maker into making a formulaic mass product. Because now that's already done, and it's done cheaper, and it's done much better than faster. You could have done. Yeah, like it'll do better because it is based on that formula. That was the formula of success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any projects you're working on new that we may see coming up 6 months, a year from now?
Maybe not a year, but maybe like in a year and a half. I'm working on several things, again, trying to focus on developing that specific style, that magical realism. So there are some things in making, but I rather talk about those ones that are more solidly.
I would love to have you come back and when they're about to be released, or I would love to come back and talk about them. I really appreciate you coming by today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Very interesting conversation. I have a lot more questions, but we'll have those another time. Thank you very much. And remember, always drink the good stuff. Cheers, everybody.